So I'm continuing with Rob Avigdor Miller's Windows of the Soul, Shemirat, Einayim. So this section is for Tuesday, and again, this is something, it goes through the whole week. It's divided up into sections for the whole week, but it's something that he says that you should repeat for a full month to make full use of it. So here we go. Tuesday, our music. Now you have to know that David, when he spoke about the harp he played, he was speaking for all of us. Everyone has to have a harp that will inspire him to bring out the greatness which lies dormant within. It doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a guitar and make music. If you play music, usually it'll be nothing, tra-la-la, tra-la-la. And even if you'll play like David HaMelech, King David, did, that's only an example of what David meant. It's a true story, but it's a mashal too. David meant much more than the harp he had in his room. His harp, this harp that David used to awaken his glory, his inner potential, we have to know, is available to everybody. What is the harp? I'm going to tell you a secret now. The harp is Olam Hazeh, this world. Olam Hazeh. I'll say it again so you don't miss it. The harp on which we're expected to play our music is Olam Hazeh. This world is given for the purpose of inspiring us to greatness. It's a pasuk in Kohelet, Ecclesiastes 3:14. Why did Hashem make the world? He made this world in order that people should learn Yirat Hashem, fear of Hashem, so that you should be able to reach the pinnacle of your greatness by becoming aware of Hashem constantly. That's supposed to be the result of this world, awareness of Hashem. But it's on one condition. You have to use your eyes to see it. The eyes are the fingers that play the harp of Olam Hazeh. So I'll explain that. The eyes are the windows of the soul. Whatever you see with your eyes, it's not just something you're seeing with your flesh and blood eyes. You're seeing with your soul too, and that means your neshama then becomes chains. It's not an accident. It's intended that way. The purpose of seeing is to make an effect on your neshama. You remember when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, told Abraham Avinu, Abraham our father, I'm going to make you into a great nation. You'll have very many children. What did Hashem do to Abraham? He took him out in the street and said, look at the stars and count the stars. I'm going to make you like the stars. And Abraham started counting, but he couldn't finish. So many stars. So Hashem said in Bereshit 15, verse 5, Ko yeh zar echa. That's how your children are going to be. So I have a kasha. Didn't Abraham know that the stars are very many? Was Abraham just born now? He had to go outside and look at the stars. So he had to go outside and look at the stars. That's a question. He could sit in the house. When he was sitting in his room, in his tent, Hashem could have said, Abraham, you know the stars in the sky are very many? That's how your children are going to be. But Hashem wasn't satisfied with that. No, I want you to come out and see the stars. Come out of your tent and look at the sky. See them. I think it's a good question. Why did Abraham have to go out and look at the stars? It seems like a waste of time. The answer is, looking at the stars and seeing how numerous they are, that's a harp that awakened something within him. It touched his neshama and excited him. He looked up at the stars and said, I'm going to have children as many as the stars, like these stars. And he became so inspired with love of Hashem, more than would have ever been possible if he had stayed in his tent and heard only the promise of Hashem. Look what you're doing for me, Abraham was thinking. I want many children, and you're promising me now that it will be. But not only are you saying words, I see what's going to happen. All these stars, I can't count them. There's so many. My children will be so many I won't be able to count them. Thank you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. I love you for that. Abraham's mind was singing songs of happiness within him because it wasn't only his eyes that saw the stars. It was his neshama that was affected by that sight. So that's a very important lesson we're learning now. When your eyes see pictures in this world, it's not merely your flesh and blood eyes that are seen. It's not only your cornea and your iris that are seen. It's not even your flesh and blood brain that is seen. It's a tremendous experience because these pictures are filed away in your neshama forever. Don't think it was nothing. And as a matter of fact, I'll even put it even further. He doesn't say this, but it even goes into the collective memory of your children, your generations after you. So keep that in mind. The things you see with your eyes even goes into the collective memory of the generations that come after you. Okay, that's a very important lesson we're learning now. When your eyes see pictures in this world, it's not merely your flesh, but okay, I read that. Don't think it was nothing. You saw it, and then that's it. You turned away, it's finished, it's gone. No. Even though you don't see it anymore, you create a picture, and the negative is deposited in your mind. And you'll never lose that negative. You'll forget about it maybe, but it's deposited way back in the files of your mind. Every minute now, as you look around, look at the faces, you're taking pictures, and every face is in your mind forever. You can never get it out. Even though you forgot about it, it's buried in your mind. I met a man a few days ago on the street, and he looked very vaguely familiar. I said, "Where did I see you once?" Suddenly, a picture popped in my head. "Oh, it's you. I hadn't seen him for 50 years. A true story. I hadn't seen him for 50 years. Where were you the last 50 years? The answer is the picture was waiting in my mind. I saw his face and the picture jumped into the front. I looked at the picture, compared it to him. Yes, it's you. Oh, wow. The picture was on my mind all these years. It's a fact. It's a true scientific fact that every minute your eyes are taking pictures, and the pictures are forever in your mind. And now, we begin to understand why the tzaddikim were so busy looking at tzaddikim, right? Why the righteous men were looking at righteous people, right? You knew they traveled to look at tzaddikim, just to see the tzaddik. People travel to see a tzaddik, to look at the tzaddik, right? Why am I superior to all my chaverim? Rabbi asked that question. So Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi asked that question. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi in Eruvin 13b. Why am I sharper than my colleagues? He said, because I saw Rabbi Meir from behind. Right? I wasn't fortunate enough to see his face, but I saw his back. I saw the back of the Tana's head, and that's why I'm superior, he said. Had I seen his face, but even his back had a tremendous effect on him. And that's because these pictures go into your mind and change your neshama forever. Every picture acts as the soul and transforms it. Another picture stored away means that you have a different neshama now. It's an entirely new creation. And that means that whatever you see in your lifetime is filed away and stays with you forever. And I want to tell you a story that I just heard on the way home from work. I was listening to Rabbi Duvi. He has wonderful stories. And he told a story about this secular Jew that went on a trip to Israel, and he was with some tour guides that was just showing him the rocks and the trees and everything else. They didn't want to take people to religious sites. But the very last day, they did take everybody to the Western Wall. What did this guy see at the Western Wall? Whatever he experienced, he loved it. He told the tour guide, "Why didn't you take us here first?" And you know what he saw? He saw a Hasid davening over by the wall. And he saw him praying so intensely. You know what happened? I don't know. This Hasid doesn't even know. This Hasid doesn't even know what he was doing. The fact that he was praying and he was transforming someone's life. And this is a big transformation, because I'm going to tell you this story, because it just doesn't end here. But that Hasid was praying. You know, he could have just woken up that day and he was like, he could have drug himself out. He's like, I need to pray. I absolutely need to pray. I could be depressed. There could be some things that could set me back today. But you know what? I'm just going to go to the wall and I'm going to pray. I'm going to pour out my heart to Hashem. It could be anything. I'm just making up a story. It could be just an ordinary person. They're just struggling with everyday life, but they're like, I'm going to serve Hashem today, right? And they get themselves up. They get in the taxi, go to the Western Wall, and they start davening. You know what? And this guy from America, he sees him davening. He's just a secular Jew. He sees him just like pouring out his heart to God. And you know what? That man said to the tour guide, "What type of Jew is that?" And he's like, "Well, they're ultra-Orthodox. They're just really religious, kind of fanatics." And you know what? He's like, "I want to be like that guy." So whenever he got back to America, you know what he did? He looked up, he called up the synagogues, and he was looking for someone who was an ultra-Orthodox Jew. He's like, "I want to be an ultra-Orthodox Jew." So it wasn't much time later. There was nothing. This is Dallas. Supposedly this is Dallas, Texas, and there wasn't any decent synagogues in Dallas, Texas at this time. And he contacts a rabbi, and he literally gets a hold of him and finds out where he lives. He walks into his house. He says to the rabbi, "Rabbi, I'm going to pay to have a shul built in Dallas. I want anything you want. I'll pay for it. we need to have an ultra-Orthodox shul in Dallas because I want to become an ultra-Orthodox Jew. I want to know where I can go and daven with ultra-Orthodox people so I know how to become like them, how to pray like them, how to live my life like them. This is exactly what happened. So that man was inspired by someone just praying at the wall. Just maybe that was their normal everyday routine. Maybe they were struggling with something. They just went there. Who knows? But that guy who just lived his ordinary life, and he was just doing what he was supposed to do. He went to the wall and he prayed. Right? Someone saw him from behind. Someone saw him from behind. They saw him from behind. And it inspired him so much, literally so much, that they paid for the whole entire, like for the building to be built or purchased for the first shul, first ultra-Orthodox shul in Dallas, Texas. That's the story. It's the things, you might not even know this, that you play into this in your daily life. Hopefully you do. Hopefully people are inspired by you. Hopefully people are inspired by the way that you handle a situation. Hopefully people are inspired by the way that, you like exude humility or exude, guarding your eyes or guarding your speech or guarding your hearing or something like that. People tell you, hey, do you want to go see a movie? And you're like, no, I don't really do movies because if it's not appropriate for kids, it's not appropriate for an adult. Like, if it's not a good thing, then it's not a good thing. There's no reason to be entertained by it. So, it could be something like that just standing up for a principle and they're like, wow, I've never heard anybody say anything like that in my entire life. They're like, wow, like that just inspires me. Like, why do I watch this garbage? And they just start to evaluate their life and they transform their life. You can be that person. You can be that person. Just stand up for what's right. Stand up for principles. Stand up for Judaism. You're supposed to be a light to the nations. Go and be that light. Thanks for listening.